episode of Mastermind Bites. Hi, my name is Fong. I'm an entrepreneur, business strategist, real estate investor speaker, and also a best-selling author. And every single day, I help others unlock the potentials and guide them to succeed. Today on Mastermind Bites, I get to feature another successful individual. And the reason why I have this show is because over the last few years, I've been very privileged to meet some amazing individuals, some masters of their skill sets, and got to learn from them, hear their stories, ask them questions, and get to share these stories back to you. And it's just one of those things that is a lessons learned so that we can all grow and we can all apply these special teachings back into our businesses as well. And today I'm very, very excited to feature Mr. Tom Cavanagh, otherwise known as Harrison Wells in The Flash or Reverse Flash. He's also known for his role in The Scrubs, and he's done a lot of other great things in Ed as well. But he's been one of those people who are very, very good at the roles he takes on. And he's just so multi-talented when it comes to different techniques and also different characters. He's really showcased that in The Flash because he was able to play many different versions of Harrison Wells, and it was a lot of fun just to see him go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And having the opportunity to meet him, chat with him, he was very, very giving with his time, spent a lot of time just chatting with us, had answers questions and whatnot. And he was just very, very grateful for the type of reception he's getting when he goes to all these Comic Cons and whatnot. So it's just a lot of fun to be able to meet him and learn from him as well. Listening to some of the questions that were asked to him and also hearing some of the panels that he's been on, there's been 5 really big tips that really stuck out that I thought would really help us all when it comes to our personal lives, our personal growth, and also business lives as well. Number 1 is we never ever have it all together, okay? And no matter how much you think you have it all together, we never have it all together. Just accept it. Number 2 is how do you deal with those difficult people? How do you deal with those people that it's hard to get along, or you find that is a little bit kind of jerkish? That he kind of shares about that. Number 3 is that there's always a time and place to be cool. Number 4, have great gratitude. Be grateful for what you have. Be grateful for the roles you get. And then number 5 is that you can screw up, but that does not mean that you are a screw up. And that works in both directions. So you could be the greatest person in that role. You could be the greatest person in that achievement, but you are not the greatest person of all time. So therefore, you have to kind of humble yourself sometimes, because if you screw up and you doesn't mean that you're a screw up, then when you do great, it doesn't mean that you're always going to be great either. So those are 5 things I thought really, really stuck out to me when it comes to lessons learned. Going back to number 1, he talks about how we never, ever have it all together. And he shared the story about how when he was going to high school and he was a freshman, and he felt that, wow, look at all these seniors. They seem to have it all together. And he was talking to his dad a few years afterwards, and he was about to go to the senior year. And he told his dad, you know what, when I was coming in as a freshman, I felt that all those senior guys have it all together. They knew exactly what they're doing and they have it all together. And now that I'm approaching senior year, I also don't feel that I don't have it all together. I feel like I'm a freshman again. And what was funny was that his dad turned to him and goes, I'm still waiting for that feeling. And that kind of goes to show that you never, ever have it all together. There's always something there. There's always some issues. You may look at somebody you think that they have it all together, but they may be looking back at you and thinking that you have it all together. We all deal with different scenarios. We all deal with different issues. And therefore, what you think is true may or may not be true. And that the thing is, you have to accept that sometimes you will not ever have it all together. And sometimes you just have to work towards that. Be a little bit vulnerable, be a little bit more accepting and more flexible with regards to what's going on. And sometimes the path is not always greener on the other side. The second thing is, how do you work with people that you seem to kind of butt heads against? He is somebody who everybody who works with him on either The Flash, on Scrubs, they all say he's a wonderful guy to work with. He's always so happy, so positive, so supportive. So there was a question that was asked to him in regards to, well, you've done some directing yourself. Have you ever been that person who goes, you know, I don't like what you're doing. You're kind of being a jerk, and just kind of rant off on somebody. And he's never been known as a person who actually does that. And therefore they go, well, how do you deal with those people that kind of come off as kind of jerkish? And he goes, you know what? There's always a way. There's always a way to kind of maneuver around to find out what it is that's either taking that person off or causing that person to behave that way. Because he truly believes that people are not a jerk just because they're a jerk. There's always some reason behind it. And you can always look for that reason as to why they're behaving that way. So you either come out front and just kind of talk about it, say, hey, for some reason we're not getting along, or you kind of play with their ego a bit and see if you're able to diffuse that personality. One way of doing that is complimenting them, giving them accolades and saying how great they are and what a good job they're doing and all that kind of stuff. And that usually diffuses their emotional negativity when it comes to being a jerk or being somebody that's difficult to work with. And that's just one method that he uses to be able to work with so many different people and deal with difficult people at the same time. And I think that really, really works in the business world as well. Sometimes you have to play to their ego. Sometimes you have to be flexible. Sometimes you just have to suck it up and then not bring in that negativity out of them, but actually diffuse those negativity thoughts and also find out a way to connect with that person, even though if it starts off being very difficult to deal with. The third thing is you can't be cool all the time. And this story really stuck out to me because I always kind of thought about that. And he was saying that when you're doing when you're filming a show, and especially in the superhero genre, that villain, which is what he was playing, is one of those roles where you're always cool. You always deliver that nice, mean message, that message that strikes fear in the superhero and all that kind of stuff. But if you really think about it and you kind of watch the show, sometimes they're like 40 feet apart or they're standing so far apart that if he actually said it that way, that person's not going to hear you. But the thing is, there's a time and a place. And in order for you to get that effect, okay, you still have to act cool and show your coolness and show that demeanor so that you can capture that on camera. But in real life, that coolness wouldn't apply. So there's always a time and place. And depending on what role you're playing, depending on what situation you're in, there's always a time and place for that coolness to come in, or for that vulnerability to come in, or for that ego to come in. There's always a time and place. You have to read the scenario. And in the world of superheroes, and also in the world of TV and movies and all kind of stuff, there's always a time and place because of how they film stuff and how they portray things and how they want to get that impact from the audience. And sometimes that's what we need to do too. If we're going up on stage and speaking, there's always a time and place to act a certain way or present a certain way or engage a certain way. And for them, being cool all the time on screen is one of those ways to engage with the audience. Number 4 was gratitude. He is a person who's totally grateful for everything that he's ever done. He's been on record saying that feeling of landing his very first Broadway part is still there when he lands his whatever TV role he's getting now or whatever movie role he's getting now. He still feels that elation. He still feels that excitement when he lands those roles because he knows as an actor that it can be gone at any time. In fact, shows can be canceled at any time. When it comes to The Flash, he thought that he was only going to do maybe 1 season or 7 episodes. And he goes, oh yeah, it's going to be over. Just because he doesn't want to take it too seriously, because he doesn't want to give his hopes up. However, when it picks up and keeps on going, he's elated. He's very excited to keep on continuing that role. And in fact, he's continued on this role on The Flash for almost 7 seasons. And that's something because of his flexibility and his ability to portray so many different characteristics and so many different roles, and that kept him on for so long and made him a fan favorite. So the thing is, sometimes you just have to be very grateful for what you have because you never know when it's all going to be taken away from you. And then also with regards to Comic Cons and also those conventions and whatnot, he's always very giving because he knows it's the fans that created the universe that he's been so grateful to be in. If it wasn't for the fans, he wouldn't be so successful in The Flash. If it wasn't for the fans, he wouldn't be such a recurring character in Scrubs or Ed. And it's because of the fans that he's very grateful for. So gratitude is a big thing when it comes to success. And for us, when it comes to building relationships or buying real estate or connecting with partners, we need to be grateful for all the projects we get. We need to be grateful for all the deals that we were able to do and accomplish because you never know when it's all going to go away. And the final thing was you could screw up, but that does not mean that you're a screw up, but vice versa. You could do great in something, but that doesn't mean you're always going to be great. And therefore, you have to humble yourself. Because when you look at some of the biggest actors out there, they might be the best actor in one movie, but there's actually a lull in between a movie to movie. There's not always that consistent job market out there for actors and people like that. And therefore, you could be the best, but you can't expect to be the best forever because there's always ups and downs and ups and downs. So you have to humble yourself. And when you see other very, very successful celebrities humble themselves, then who are you to not humble yourself as well? And that's something he's always kind of talked about. You have to humble yourself. You have to realize that it's not always up and it's not always down. There's always an in-between kind of thing. So not to take things too seriously, be true to yourself and realize that sometimes it's not personal. Sometimes when things don't go your way, it's not because of you. It's just because of how things are. So the thing is, don't judge too much about your successes or your failures based on one aspect. Judge it on an overall kind of overall kind of timeline as to what you've done and what you've succeeded and what you've achieved. So those are the 5 things I thought was very, very relevant when it comes to our personal growth and also our business growth that I learned from Mr. Tom Cavanagh. Those 5 things again are: number 1, you can never ever expect to have it all together. Number 2 is, how do you deal with difficult people? There's always a way. Number 3, there's a time and place for certain characteristics. You can't be cool all the time. Number 4, be very, very grateful for what you have because you never know when it's all going to go away. And then number 5, you can screw up, but that does not mean that you are actually a screw up. So those are the 5 things, and I hope you learned something today. I hope those were good lessons learned for you. And if you liked it, please go back to see some of my other Mastermind Bite episodes. And if you like this show, we also have the Peak Potential Success Show, the Unlocking the Mind, and also Make More Mind Bites that goes up every single week. And I thank you all for your support. Thank you for your likes. Thank you for subscribing. And also thank you for your comments. I love seeing all those. So until next time, today is the day to lock your peak potential. We'll see you later.